having a favorite among members of the Beatles might be quite difficult. Every member of the Beatles has unique features which adds up or contributes to their success as a team. Most music lovers just stick to loving the Beatles as a band rather than having a favorite. However, the popular American singer Bruce Springsteen, popularly known as The Boss, disclosed his favorite member of the Beatles. With his close involvement with every member of the Beatle crew, there was no prior hint that he had a favorite. Who do you think was Bruce Springsteen's favorite? We'll dive right into this detail. But before we do so, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exclusive content on the Beatles. Every member of the Beatles band was known for their love for music and their unique talent. Each of them knew how to play musical instruments and had good vocal prowess. Before they split up in 1970, they had gathered lots of fans as a team. They had sure inspired a lot of younger musicians to delve into music and start up a band, and Bruce was one of such musicians. Bruce Springsteen owes a huge amount of his success in music to the Beatles. He claims the Fab Four ignited his love affair with music. Bruce Springsteen was obsessed with the group when he was still an adolescent. His first encounter with the Beatles gave him a head start in music. He first heard their song "I Wanna Hold Your Hand" on South Street with his mother driving in 1964. His excitement was second to none, and Springsteen once recalled his first introduction to the Fab Four and his reaction. He said, "I immediately demanded that she let me out. I ran to the bowling alley, ran down a long neon-lit aisle, down the alley into the bowling alley, ran to the phone booth, got in the phone booth, and immediately called my girl and asked, 'Have you heard this band called the Beatles?'" After that encounter, he knew that he had found a new love. It was nothing but rock and roll and guitars. Bruce's encounter with the Fab Four pushed him into his musical career, which he is popular for now. Bruce Springsteen is an arena rock star and a well-regarded American singer and songwriter. Born on September 23, 1949, in Long Branch, New Jersey, Springsteen was raised in a working-class household in Freehold Borough. Raised by both mother and father, he had several issues with his dad while growing up. Bruce and his father had a difficult father-son relationship and bond. Bruce first fell in love with rock and roll when he first saw Elvis Presley perform on The Ed Sullivan Show. Elvis was as big as the whole country itself at then. On his 16th birthday, Springsteen's mother took out a loan to buy him a $60 Kent guitar after recognizing his interest in music. Bruce hasn't stopped playing the instrument since then. In the late 1960s, Bruce was spending most of his time in Ashbury Park on the New Jersey shore, playing in several different bands. While doing this, he also forged his unique sound and introduced audience to the gravelly baritone voice for which he would later become famous. It was there that he first met the musicians who later formed his E Street Band. Around this time, Springsteen also acquired his nickname, The Boss, because he had a habit of collecting money earned during shows and then distributing it evenly among his bandmates. He later got signed up with Columbia Records. After that, he released his first studio album in 1973, which garnered critical acclaim but slow sales. Many compared him to Bob Dylan for his introspective lyrics and poetic style, but this did not immediately help Bruce Springsteen make it big. Springsteen and the E Street Band followed their debut with The Wild, The Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle later the same year, and again found themselves lauded by critics but largely dismissed by the public. Even with the public, critics, and all, they went on to release more albums. This time, he and his bandmates decided to promote their album by doing a cross-country tour. This was like magic as Bruce Springsteen and his band became popular. He went on to record an Oscar-winning song, and in 1999, he was finally inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Not only was he inducted, but his band, the E Street Band, was also inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2014. Bruce Springsteen has become a household name with dozens of awards under his belt, including 20 Grammys and more than 65 million albums sold in the US alone. There is no doubt that Springsteen is one of the most successful musicians of all time. He is also known for his left-leaning political causes. The artist was honored with the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Barack Obama in 2016. Among the numerous people that inspired Bruce in his musical journey, the Beatles were key influencers. Apart from loving the group, he was also deeply infatuated with one of the members of the Beatles in particular. In the course of Springsteen's musical career, he had been fortunate enough to share a stage with Paul McCartney. They had graduated from just singing together to being friends. Although they were both friends, in terms of creative process, Bruce was always more of a John Lennon fan. It was surprising, however, that his favorite Beatle was John Lennon. He made this shocking revelation when Rolling Stone came knocking for their all-encompassing 100 greatest singers of all time piece. And the boss was more than happy to contribute his list. It was expected that Paul McCartney would top his list. Instead, Bruce could not find any space for McCartney on the list. Bruce had sent in a list as a ballot of 20. He selected his list of favorite performers, which Ray Charles topped and John Lennon was placed fourth. Paul McCartney was not on the list, which was so surprising. He explained further how he liked John Lennon's style of music and professionalism. The sad part of everything was that he never got to meet his favorite member of the Beatles. The death of John Lennon was one big blow to Bruce. He was devastated by Lennon's death that happened in 1980. On the evening Lennon's death was announced, Springsteen spoke about the late Beatles' impact on him at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Historian Tim English told radio station NJ 101.5 that Bruce said, "You know, if it wasn't for John Lennon, a lot of us wouldn't be here tonight." And he said Twist and Shout was his first song he ever played on the guitar. At the beginning of that show at the Spectrum, Bruce said, "It's tough to come out here tonight, but there's nothing else to do." Even though he did not get to meet his icon, John Lennon offered him some words of encouragement in one of his final interviews. Lennon talked about how the media enjoy building artists up before tearing them down again. He'd witnessed this firsthand and also seen it happen to Mick Jagger. At the time, Bruce couldn't do anything wrong, but the former Beatle knew it wouldn't stay that way forever. He continued telling Rolling Stone, "And God help Bruce Springsteen when they decide he's no longer God. I haven't seen him, but I've heard such good things about him. Right now, his fans are happy." Lennon also put in, he's told them about being drunk and chasing girls and cars and everything, and that's about the level they enjoy. But when he gets down to facing his success and growing older, and having to produce it again and again, they'll turn on him, and I hope he survives it. It was, however, surprising that John Lennon, who had not met Bruce before, mentioned his name and was advising him. Looks like there was a strong connection between both of them before Lennon passed on. John Lennon told Rolling Stone that he just wanted people to learn from his experiences and take on criticism. In the interview with Rolling Stone before he died in 1980, he narrated both his and Mick's experiences. He said he was attacked and criticized countless times. While narrating his experience, he also acknowledged knowing Mick Jagger's story and narrated it, saying, "Mick's put out consistently good work for 20 years. And will they give him a break? Will they ever say, 'Look at him, he's number one. He's 37 and he has a beautiful song, Emotional Rescue'? It's up there. I enjoyed it. A lot of people enjoyed it too." According to John Lennon, fans of Bruce Springsteen would ultimately turn on him once he began to get older. He rounded up his talk with the Rolling Stones with a statement directed to Bruce. He said, "All he has to do is look at me or Mick. So it goes up and down. Up and down, of course it does. But what are we, machines? What do they want from the guy? Do they want him to kill himself on stage? Do they want me and Yoko to fuck on stage or kill ourselves on stage? But when they criticize From Me to You as below Beatles standard, that's when I first realized you've got to keep it up. There's some sort of system where you get on the wheel and you've got to keep going around." That's all for today's video, guys. But before we end, what do you think about Bruce Springsteen's favorite Beatle? Do you have a favorite Beatle? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. And if by now you haven't, ensure you subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any new updates about the Beatles.